When I bought my cabin in the Colorado Rockies, I knew I'd be dealing with some quirky HOA rules. What I didn't expect was for them to single-handedly cause a small landslide. My property sits on a sloped section of mountain terrain. The previous owner had constructed a reinforced retaining wall about 6 feet tall along the lower end of the slope that borders the road and a couple of other lots. It wasn't pretty, but it was effective. The wall kept the earth in place, especially during spring melt or heavy rains. When I moved in, I had the wall inspected. The engineer said it was sound, and that removing it would be an invitation. For disaster, I took him seriously. Apparently, the HOA DNT, about a year after settling in. I received a letter from the High Ridge Estates. HOA. They claimed the retaining wall violated the neighborhood's natural aesthetic standards. According to them, it disrupted the scenic view and was not approved by their architectural committee, ever mind that it had been standing for over a decade. I wrote back, sent the engineering reports, and offered to face the committee directly. To explain its importance, I heard nothing in return. Then one morning I woke up to the sound of jackhammers and yelling. I ran outside to find a contracted crew hired by the HOA taking down my wall. I was stunned. "What are you doing?" I demanded. Standing between them and the equipment HOA authorization, one of the workers replied. "They said this is a non-compliant structure." I immediately called the sheriff. Well, they couldn't stop the demolition because of the HOA's legal jurisdiction in our community. I filed a complaint. I also called my lawyer. He told me it'd be a long legal process. And meanwhile, I needed to focus on protecting my property. I tried reasoning with the HOA again, but they doubled down. "We are restoring the natural beauty of the area," the president wrote me in an email. "Man-made walls like that go against our vision." 2 weeks after they finished tearing it down, the first real spring storm rolled in. Asterisk rain hammered the mountainside for 2 days. At first, everything seemed fine. I had installed sandbags temporarily and redirected runoff as best I could. But on the third morning, I heard a low rumble. I looked out my kitchen window and saw it. A slow, muddy avalanche of soil, rocks, and debris sliding down where the wall used to be. The slope gave way completely. It wasn't just my property that was affected. My backyard was buried under nearly 2 feet of mud. But worse, the neighboring road was blocked. Part of the hill pushed right into the street, covering 2 driveways and causing minor damage to one of the HOA board members' homes. I grabbed my phone and started recording. HOA President Linda, who had been so insistent that the wall had to go, showed up 10 minutes later, screaming, "What did you do to this mountain?" Stared at her in disbelief. "What I did? You tore down the wall?" She was hysterical. Her brand new paver driveway was cracked, and one side of her manicured rock garden was buried under mud. Another board member's Tesla had been hit by a boulder that rolled down from the collapse. Emergency crews arrived to assess the damage. The fire chief made it clear the retaining wall had been crucial in preventing exactly this kind of event. Over the next few days, the HOA went into full panic mode. I provided the sheriff's office with my emails, the engineer's report, the video of the slope collapsing, and footage of the HOA crew removing the wall. The fire department deemed the slope unstable, and the county ordered an emergency stabilization project. Guess who got the bill? The HOA. In a community meeting that turned chaotic, dozens of residents demanded resignations. Linda tried to pass the blame back to me, saying I should have installed something temporary after the wall was removed. I did, I told the crowd. But a few sandbags aren't going to do the job of a professionally engineered retaining wall. And I tried. To stop them, I have the documents. They ignored every warning. My lawyer filed a civil suit for property damage and negligence. Several neighbors followed suit as well. The HOA's insurance refused to cover the incident, citing willful misconduct. That meant the HOA had to dip into community reserves and then issue a special assessment to cover the rest. Let me tell you, nothing unites a neighborhood faster than being forced to pay for someone else's mistake. The board was ousted in a record vote. Linda, she sold her house and left the state within a month. The new board invited me to speak at their first meeting, where they publicly apologized for the HOA's actions and offered to fund a new, professionally engineered retaining wall. I accepted, but with conditions. I insisted on oversight from a third-party engineer, no interference from the HOA in future structural matters on my property, and a formal amendment to the HOA charter preventing arbitrary demolition of safety infrastructure without due process. They agreed. Now, 2 years later, the new wall is up better, stronger, and with full county approval. I've also become a bit of a neighborhood hero. People stop me during walks just to vent about the old HOA board. A few even joked about renaming the slope Linda's Folly. Sometimes nature has a way of proving your point better than any argument. And when it comes to mountains, gravity doesn't care about aesthetic standards asterisk.